The smart money has been accumulating XRP, but we are entering that the end of that accumulation range. I'm going to share with you perspective from 9 different XRP chart analysts, including one who says XRP still not bearish in the slightest. And I have actual data to indicate, yeah, it's not exactly as doomsdayish as some people on social media would have you believe. Things are actually sitting pretty darn pretty. XRP is at $2.20, Bitcoin just shy of $91,000, and the market's still not over. I thought I'd highlight this again. This is for CoinMarketCap. This is their webpage highlighting crypto market cycle top indicators, of which there are 30 different indicators, none of which have triggered. 0 out of 30. So do these indicators just no longer work? Or maybe it's the case perhaps that it's not over? I'm thinking it's that one, folks. People a little less fearful. Look at this. This only updates once every 24 hours, and it doesn't update for another 4.5 hours. But Crypto Fear and Greed Index yesterday finally got out of extreme fear. We're just in old-fashioned normal fear now at 28 out of 100. But we saw some low numbers. I mean, there were a couple days in a row where we were literally at 10 out of 100 in extreme fear. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm observing the same thing as everybody else. I do not feel those emotions. It just doesn't make logical sense. I mean, rather, I'm excited as an XRP holder because I firmly believe, right or wrong, I firmly, very genuinely believe that the best is yet ahead, including for this market cycle. And if I'm wrong, so be it. But I just don't think this thing is done. I think that there's, especially if you're looking at macro indicates number go up, folks. Liquidity, global M2, hanging out around all-time highs. I do not believe for a moment this whole thing's done. I just don't. Here's a post from Coin Bureau. This should give you some optimism on top of that, because look at how people are actually behaving. Here they wrote, XRP supply on exchanges is dropping. Over 180 million XRP have left exchanges recently, tightening available liquidity. And so this is a vote of confidence in XRP. That is exactly what this means. When you see large quantities of XRP flow off of exchanges, that's because the people doing that, they don't plan on selling it anytime soon. So they're safeguarding it in cold storage. That is exactly what they're doing. Because if you were planning on selling anytime soon, you don't go to the trouble of moving your XRP to a self-custody cold storage only to immediately move it back. No, these people are not planning on selling this. And it's just so fascinating. So yeah, there's been a lot of turbulence ever since that October 10th liquidation event, but we're either at the end of it or very damn close. And I don't want to talk about it again in this video, but it's just worth mentioning as a blurb. Like we're about there, folks. And then that sell pressure is going to be gone from that market maker, the large market maker that was wounded. That's going to stop. The forced selling, which is from a contractual agreement, that's going to stop. And what do you think happens then when that forced selling pressure for Bitcoin and the crypto asset class is done? You're ultimately going to see a reversal. We are not done here. And this post, this is even more bullish. You look at this chart. So this is a post from chart analyst CW. It says recently spot trading in XRP has been dominated by big whales. In addition, retail investors have never dominated trading. Whales are strongly leading XRP, and the rally led by whales is about to begin. Whales led the trading at the bottom, and the current trend is similar to the one just before the 2024 rally. Okay, so this chart's going back almost 2 full years, and you can see that the purchasing in the green dots, that's the whales, that's the smart money. And then you have everybody else, you could call it just regular retail in gray. So those would be, normal sized transactions there. And what is the pattern that we notice here? Well, leading up to the November breakout last year, when XRP was around 49 cents before the election, people, these whales, they accumulated XRP for about half a freaking year. And what happened? What happened as soon as the price of XRP started rocketing in November of last year? Look at this. Do you see any green dots here? No, you do not, because the smart money behaves different than everyone else. They positioned down here when, it wasn't as popular of an idea, but then as soon as it started going and now everybody agrees, oh, XRP does make sense. I guess the Dino coin does. Well, what happens? Regular people start purchasing it. And XRP ultimately hits a new all-time high January of this year, and that's right up here. I move my mouse, and you can see whales did not start making purchases again until the price of XRP started falling yet again. And they didn't know for sure when the bottom was, but they understand macro swings like that. They understand the big picture swings. So they were going to touch XRP at those elevated price levels. But then when it came back down, they're like, okay, time to buy again. See behaviorally what they're doing. And so again, they didn't know the bottom, but they knew it made sense to accumulate. And they spent another half a freaking year accumulating in range, just dollar cost averaging in. That's what they did. And then in July, you can see what happened in July when the price of XRP started rocketing, they stopped buying and they let retail, the regular retailers, the dumb money, they're the ones that were purchasing at those highs of, now the current all-time high, of course, $3.65. And what happened then? Well, the price has been sliding down ever since. And wouldn't you know it, in October, as everything's falling apart, people screaming bloody murder, wouldn't you know it, them splishy splashy whales getting aquatic as fuck, they went ahead and started purchasing again. That's exactly what they did. And they don't know exactly where the bottom is, but they keep purchasing. I'm telling you, they're doing this again. So I don't know if if we're going to break up today, tomorrow, next week, next month, a few months from now. I don't pretend to know. I don't worry about the short-term stuff as much, but it's going to happen. The human behavior is the human behavior, and we just are not done. Whales do not get wrong-footed. This is the smart money. So just know that if you think XRP makes sense, you're in good company. The splishy splashy whales absolutely agree. So the accumulation range will end. We're going to go up. Here's a post, another one from CW, and it says, XRP is sandwiched between a buy wall and a sell wall. The sell wall exists until $2.31, and a breakout is necessary for the rally to start. So just thought I'd highlight a couple levels right there. So we're not far off from it, but the cool thing is, if you actually do break above that, it's kind of thin air up until it looks like $2.50 roughly. So you actually, if we do get through, that's an if, in the short term, you could see a pretty big jump sooner rather than later. I've seen a number of analysts hint that it's at least a possibility. Here's a post from Charting Guy. It says, XRP is still not bearish in the slightest. Building support on prior cycle high, as well as top of golden pocket. The chart where people show you monthly relative strength index losing steam, why didn't they show you all that in January 2025 when RSI topped? RSI lost momentum all 2025 while XRP stayed sideways in a range and held its own. That is a very textbook reaccumulation signal where indicators lose steam to reset and price stays stable. And that's what I keep saying. So XRP is obviously operating within a new norm. It's just normal to hang out between $2 to $3. You'll love to see it as far as I'm concerned. And he's just noting here, it's a reaccumulation zone. For those that are interested to hold more XRP, they've taken advantage of this. XRP will not stay in this price level, in this price range forever. Eventually it moves. So a lot of people are viewing this, as that opportunity. Absolutely. Because it's not going to, eventually it's going to be a new norm where like the regular price range for XRP, I wouldn't be surprised anyway. I don't make price predictions, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see like a new norm above $10. And one day, way in the future, I won't be surprised if the new norm is above $20 or $30. Like it can go way higher and then just trade sideways around there. None of this is crazy. It's all stuff that's normal in crypto. And so I admit I don't know where the price of XRP is going. I'm not a prediction guy myself. That's just not my shtick. But I'm like you guys. My conviction is the same as yours. Like I believe that this thing's going to keep moving higher the more time passes. And, either you have exposure when it happens or you don't, but the people who hold and just wait, those are the guys that get rich. That's just how this works. Here's another one from Charting Guy. And he says, XRP year-long reaccumulation, testing everyone's patience, and the majority is folding under pressure. Yeah, isn't that the truth? So many people absolutely capitulating, and I just showed you XRP's going off exchanges. That means that people, those people certainly are not planning on selling anytime soon. I just showed you also, whales are purchasing now. It's a matter-of-fact statement. Do the whales get wrong-footed? No, they do not. And it's so funny to look at the chart and see what their behavior is. It's so obvious what's happening here. This just isn't done. And so anyway, he's indicating this particular schematic here, this accumulation schematic, is what's unfolding for XRP. So he's acknowledging here on the chart, if you look and you can already see it, there's a possibility you could go a little bit lower, but that would not be the end of the world, he says. And I just to be clear, there are lots of analysts that I follow that have been warning XRP could get down to like even credible crypto. He's like, yeah, XRP could drop to like $1.60. Doesn't have to, but it could. That would be normal within normal parameters here. But he says that's what would precede a new all-time high for XRP. So here's another analyst acknowledging, yeah, actually you could go lower, but then way higher. And you can see he's charting XRP topping off here, maybe closer to $8 in the relative short term. Chart nerd rather, he's basically charting the same thing. Look at this. He's talking about the spring, and he just simply wrote, XRP, do not ignore the potential spring. He is acknowledging it could go lower, though. He says, many debate the spring has already formed on the $1.80 lows. However, to mark a spring, we must deviate below the current support structure and shake out the weak hands before a violent recovery. Doesn't have to happen, but it's for sure a potential not to ignore. So again, another reputable analyst saying, hey, could go lower. We're still going to go way higher afterwards. It's just normal chart stuff. So if that does happen, you do not need to emotionally flip out and panic. Okay. It's just, just let enough time pass. I'm telling you, the chart, markets find bottoms. Okay, folks, the charts will get straightened out. Here's a post from chart analyst Ether National, and he says, structure has not changed in XRP, only the expansion phase lengthens the timing. And so another analyst here recognizing structurally this is pretty normal, including historically, it's just stretched out. Now, why might that be stretched out? Well, this is why I always talk about macro. Because with what's happening on a macro scale, including global liquidity and debt refinancing like Ralph Paul talks about, it makes sense that this would be extending out. Nothing is broken here, folks. So we still get ours. We just have to wait a little bit because it's just global liquidity. It just is. Crypto Wizard, this is basically the same freaking charts. There's two analysts back to back that are basically saying the same thing. Look at this, because you got, you can see the 2017 cycle on your left here. And then on the right chart, you can see where we are right now. It's the same thing that Ether National is just highlighting. But so here, Crypto Wizard wrote, still to come, living the 2017 cycle in 2025. XRP retested its 2021 all-time high demand zone. Everyone who wanted to sell has, for now. A reversal in December would be delicious. What if the main course is still yet to come? Well, that's a good question. I'm guessing the answer is yes. I may not make price predictions because that's just not my thing, but yeah, I'll hazard a guess that the best is yet ahead. I feel comfortable making that particular projection. Here's a post from chart analyst Dark Defender. This is an XRP BTC chart. And he says the XRP BTC pair shows that XRP has gained significant strength against Bitcoin over the past year and will continue to do so. XRP was 60 cents when Bitcoin was at $92,000 last November. XRP is at $2.22, while Bitcoin is at $92,000 at the moment. The update says XRP will continue dominating the entire crypto ecosystem. Yeah, fair enough. And I'll say this too. As far as the XRP BTC pair, I will note, we have not seen a new all-time high for the XRP BTC chart since the first half of 2017. We did see a new all-time high on the XRP USD chart, but not XRP BTC. And what do we think? Like, it's just never going to happen? Because I think that's nonsense. I think at some point in the future, it is going to happen. And with where the price levels are right now, like you can see why it's not crazy. Because even if you get up to that range, my God, XRP double-digit price action if that happens. If XRP hits a new all-time high on the XRP BTC chart, then you're looking at double-digit price action for XRP. It will not take that much to make this happen. It really won't. And the idea of that never happening, like the best that there ever would be, it was in the first half of 2017, before all this utility and people, the regulatory clarity, all that, that was the best, and it's never going to happen again. Like, get the hell out of here with that nonsense. I do not buy that. The best is yet ahead. Here's a post from chart analyst C. Greg Crypto. It says, XRP, simple chart, simple rules. Close above $2.60, above fib 0.5 equals bullish, but still not fully out of the woods. Close above $3.40, above fib .888 equals super bullish. And yes, we are so back. And on the flip side, close above the 21 EMA. Yes, look at that yellow line. We are effed, no sugarcoating it. So you'd be looking at $1.83. Now, he says that we'd be effed, but I did just highlight a couple and note a couple other analysts that are saying, yeah, you actually could get down roughly to that range. And maybe it'd be short-lived and maybe kind of bounce from there. But the other analysts that I've been following that have talked about potentially falling to that level, all say, though it would be normal, it'd be healthy, and then we'd still, still ultimately get to yet another new all-time high, way, way, way higher than what we've ever seen before. Here's a post from chart analyst Malius, XRP dominance. You'll love to see this. Market cap XRP dominance percentage chart right here. And he simply wrote TikTok. As he posted this just yesterday, the dominance for XRP, the entire market dominance for XRP, only at 4.3%. That represents opportunity, my friends, because what he's expecting is it goes way, way, way higher. He thinks that you're going to be seeing like anywhere from 12 to 18% market dominance for XRP. So if that happens, just based on the total market cap, you're looking at basically roughly quadrupling in dominance, which means quadrupling in price. So even just with that, you'd be looking at close to $9. But the cool thing is that's at the current market cap for the crypto asset class, which is just over $3 trillion. So what happens if instead of, having a $3 trillion market cap for the asset class, what if it doubles? What if it goes to $6 trillion? Well, then if you're looking at quadrupling the dominance percentage, you're going to be close to like $18. So, and look, I don't think we're going to see an all-time high for dominance probably ever again. I could be wrong, but I doubt it for XRP. I actually don't think so. But that's not because there's something broken with XRP. It's just that in 2017, when it hit its all-time high in dominance, which was, I think, around like 32% or something like that, 32% market dominance for XRP for just a brief moment in time, there were like 1,600 or 1,700 coins in existence. But now with there being like tens of thousands of coins are tracked by CoinMarketCap now. Tens of thousands. So yeah, XRP is going to have a smaller percentage of the market, but it's still, in terms of dollars, some ton of money still can flow in. And it doesn't mean you can't have a much higher percentage, even if just briefly, like as the market's peaking. So that's why, like, for the people that are talking about 12, 13, 14, 15, 18%, whatever, any dominance for XRP, I don't know if it's going to hit that high, but that ain't crazy. And then you can quickly see, again, if it's going to get that high. Like, what do you think? I mean, what do you think that means? Like, you understand why it is not unreasonable to talk about these higher price levels that so many chart analysts that I follow are talking about. This is not crazy stuff here, folks. We go way, way, way higher, folks. Then here's another one for chart analyst Malleus. You've got IWM up top, and so that's the ticker symbol for an ETF. I believe it's a BlackRock one. It's an ETF that tracks the Russell 2000 index, so small cap stocks. That's up top, IWM. Then you got Bitcoin in the middle, and then you have ISM, which is, it's not the business cycle. ISM is a component of the business cycle, but people use it as a proxy for that all the time. And so anyway, Malleus here wrote, focusing on the bigger picture, it seems IWM is heating engines to climb higher in 2026, driven by ISM to continue grinding higher. Guess what will happen with Bitcoin and alts in such case? Yeah, I have an idea, because historically, every time the ISM bottoms, risk assets begin their next major expansion phase about a year later. So you can see this in 2009, you can see it in 2016 and 2020, and again right now, as we head towards 2026. IWM begins trending much higher, and it does it first because small caps are extremely sensitive to early liquidity and acceleration like that. Once that happens, Bitcoin and altcoins follow with far more explosive upside, because crypto is the highest volatility expression of the same underlying macro forces. Like that's exactly what's happening right here. And they're all risk on assets. Yeah, it's going to blow way, way, way higher. But markets do not peak when you've got the business cycle at the bottom. That is not what happens. Wait till it gets to the top, and there you go. And it's global. It is global liquidity that's impacting all of this. And there are so many hints that this is absolutely where we're going, which is why I keep telling you, if there's any chart analyst that is coming to strong conclusions about whether we are or are not in a bear market, and they're not considering macro, which means to say they're not using all of the pieces of the puzzle, just keep that in mind, because that's a really bad idea. You really should factor in everything. You really should. And the macro, it just indicates, it's very obvious, we're sitting pretty here, folks. I'll say again, the best is yet ahead. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea.